Hello, thank you so much for joining us this week for the Scott Week podcast. We have a very special guest today, Iain Smith. Hello, Iain.
Hello.
So Iain is joining us from all the way from Scotland today. Iain is a recent graduate from St. Andrews, and we met through the Scottish Business Network. So shout out to Russell Dalgleish and the SBN family. So thank you so much. And Iain, it was interesting we were talking about before about how to introduce you, and you have so many things going on, and it's like, okay, let's just start from the beginning. So Iain, tell us, where in Scotland are you from, and what was that like growing up in Scotland?
Yeah, so I'm from a tiny town called Montrose, or tiny by sort of American standards, I guess. Yeah, very stereotypical childhood, I guess. I feel like I was quite lucky to grow up like just outside of this town of Montrose. I spent a lot of time in the countryside and things like that. Two older brothers to keep me busy and things like that. So yeah, it was a pretty stereotypical childhood, but a lot of fun, a lot of open space compared to the States, I think for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were chatting before about there's a different track for schooling with the US and the UK and Scotland. So you went through college and then to university, and then you ended up getting an internship opportunities in the United States. So tell us, what was it like to go to St. Andrews, and then what happened?
Yeah, you're right. So I finished Brecon High School. I initially was supposed to be going to Edinburgh to study engineering, but last minute decided maths was not my favorite subject, so that was not going to be for me. I went to college in Dundee for a year and studied biomedical science. Decided that also wasn't going to be for me as much as I thought it was very interesting. And yeah, ended up applying to St Andrews for sustainable development and geography, sort of more human geography. So anthropology, I guess, is how you guys would say it. But yeah, life at St Andrews was fantastic. It's a really small town, very close knit. You can walk to the shops and meet about 30 of your friends every trip. So it was a really fun. It was a really good place for me to be. It was a good sort of support network, and it was a small enough place that I always felt very comfortable. So I was never worried about anything like that there. But yeah, when I went to the States after that, I got lucky enough to get the Bobby Jones scholarship. So myself and three others went out to Emory to study for a year there. And yeah, it was a big jump for sure. It's strange to go from a place that has three streets to Atlanta. It was a big jump for sure. Very scary, very scary.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit more about this Bobby Jones scholarship. What did you have to do to qualify? How can people apply for it? What do you get?
Yeah, so it's based on the famous golfer Bobby Jones. Obviously, he had strong connections with both St Andrews and Atlanta and Emory as well. So really, the scholarship I think started out with a lot of his friends and family trying to honor his legacy a little bit. And I think a lot of the time, students who applied for the scholarship initially were big golfers. I myself am not a huge golfer, but there are still a lot of remnants from those days. There's a lot of perks as far as you get to go to the Masters tournament. If you're good enough, which I'm not, you'll be lucky enough to play the Augusta course, which is very, very cool. You get membership at a few of the golf clubs there, and a lot of the events you go to will be there as well. So yeah, it's not something that I'm a pro at, but it is great if you're a golfer. It's definitely a great thing to be a part of. Also included is a fully funded year at Emory University, which is a fantastic, fantastic school. I studied business and marketing there, so that was another big left-hand turn from sustainable development. But it's something that I've always been really interested in, and the lectures were fantastic. The classes were really engaging. So yeah, absolutely loved it. I was lucky enough to get some internships as well whilst I was out there. A lot of the scholarship, they really support you and help you find what you're interested in and help you get these kind of things. So I got an internship position first of all with the Carter Center. Um, I worked on the mental health program there, which was really, really interesting. Met a former First Lady in Rosalind Carter, which was absolutely fantastic. She's a really, really lovely lady. And then following that, I worked for CNN for a month and a half on their international desk. So a lot of really cool experiences. Very exciting. But I'm definitely glad to be back in Scotland now, especially with everything going on in the States at the moment. I feel lucky to be back here, especially during COVID and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my goodness, you've done and experienced so many things that most people don't experience by the time they're 30 or 40. So it's so exciting. And so I want to break this down a little bit because mental health is big for me and spirituality. And you're telling me too that you did your dissertation on mental health at an ashram in British Columbia. Is that right?
I did, yeah. I feel like following my path through education is very unclear as to where I'm heading, and maybe it is unclear. So working on the human geography side of my degree, I decided to do my dissertation on the I was comparing the rising levels of mental health issues like depression, anxiety, things like that in modern society versus the same levels in off-grid communities, indigenous communities, things like that. So I went and lived with the Anatara Ashram community in British Columbia, Canada, for just over a month. So that was an incredible experience. No electricity, no alcohol, yogic diet, 3 hours of meditation every morning, a couple hours of yoga every day. It was a big shock to the system, but I loved it. Never felt healthier. And the study was amazing. I'm still good friends with a lot of people I met out there. Would definitely recommend it if anyone's in the area.
That sounds amazing, especially, 2020, it threw a lot of people for a loop, and mental health is increasingly a topic of discussion of how do you balance that in your life. So
Absolutely. I
yeah.
think especially now more than ever with COVID sort of keeping a lot of people locked down to their homes, there's never been a better time to sort of start taking care of your mental health. So yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Amazing. And then second of all, CNN. My goodness. So you're telling me you were at the international news desk, is that right?
I was, yeah. So initially it was supposed to be working in the office, but of course COVID-19 hit, and it ended up having to be a remote internship. So I was just working from my flat in the States. But it was still an amazing experience. Got to work on a lot of really cool stories. Obviously, COVID and the election were the primary focuses at the time that I was working there. But yeah, still got to meet a lot of really interesting people. I've made a lot of friends there as well, and I'm hopefully going to be coming back to the States in April if COVID allows, and maybe jumping on for another couple of weeks to experience what it's like to work for CNN actually in the office. So that would be great. But again, fingers crossed, don't know if I'm going to be able to come back with everything going on.
Yes, absolutely. And April will be very, very interesting time as well for the United States. And and not to get too political, but we were talking before about a lot of people question the integrity and the accuracy of the news in the U.S. And I'm not going to talk about politics. But I mean, from your experience from being from Scotland and growing up with the BBC and all of the UK outlets and different European news stations, Al Jazeera. What was your experience like in at CNN, and what were some comparisons that you found?
Yeah, I think growing up in the UK, the BBC and the news in general is, in my eyes at least, just well trusted. Always seems to be well sourced. I've never I think in the States, the big difference was I've never seen the media attacked quite so much. Obviously, I'm sure there's faults on both sides, but I've never seen it questioned quite so much. So, well, I'm sure that's a good thing in some cases to keep everyone accountable. But yeah, it seems like CNN, especially, your former president definitely wasn't a fan of them.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness. Um, but I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. And your baby that you created, it's a really, really cool company. So tell us about Regulus. What is it, and how did you come up with it? And where is it going?
Absolutely. So Regulus is a city-specific subscription-based membership club. The idea is that Regulus is going to support students all throughout their career at university and afterwards. So first of all, it's going to help with social events, give students access to a lot of different events where they can meet a lot of different people. I know from my experience when I came from quite a small high school of 20 people max, it was difficult to go even to St. Andrews, which is a very small university as well. But even that was quite daunting for me. So it would be great to help students make friends and sort of make them a little bit more comfortable and bridge that gap going into university. The second part is going to be supporting students during their studies. That's going to be things like creating mentorships where we pair students who are a little bit older with kids who are just starting, but with similar subjects to support them with their studies a little bit, organize study sessions, things like that. The next part, when students are sort of reaching the twilight of their university, they're starting to think about their future a bit more, is we're going to be supporting them a lot with helping with scholarships and internships, exposing them to a lot of different opportunities that they may not otherwise have gotten, and really let them know what opportunities are available to them. I know the Bobby Jones Scholarship was a fantastic opportunity for me. It was a fully funded year at a fantastic university. I got a lot of great internships out of it, but a lot of people didn't know about it. I think four of us went out there. There were four positions available, and I think only 26 people ended up applying of the whole year. So it was this amazing opportunity that if my dissertation supervisor hadn't told me about it, I just never would have known. So it would be great to help students really understand the opportunities that are available to them. And then lastly is going to be helping students after university. They're going to be added once they finish their university 4 years. They're going to be added to a website that we've got created, which is going to be all of the members get added to that once they finish their university career. We're going to try and pair students up with industry experts from a wide range of different careers to really expose them to what other careers are out there. I know that, at least in my experience from St. Andrews, a lot of students feel they're pigeonholed a little bit, or they're aiming for all these consulting jobs with the big four, or they all think they have to move down to London and get a banking job. Or I feel like there's quite a high expectation for students at St. Andrews where they all feel they need this high paying, glamorous lifestyle job. But I know a lot of friends of mine who went into careers like that and after 6 months were burned out. And although it paid very well and it was, I'm sure, exciting for a couple of months, it really was a lot for them. So they're now sort of trying to find their passion now. They're looking at different career options. And I just think a lot of students have quite a narrow view and don't look at all the opportunities that are out there. So we're going to be arranging speaker series, we're going to be arranging career fairs and things like that to really show students that there's so many different things that you can do, and let them get a taste of it, to try and show them what maybe they're going to love the most and what they're actually going to enjoy day to day, rather than aiming for these super high level jobs that sometimes end up not being what they thought it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important. And, I feel like you and I are kindred spirits in the fact that we're multidimensional. We don't just have one career path that we're going to, but we have this branch and we're going to weave everything together and cross pollinate and connect people. And
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely. I think one of the best things I think I learned from St. Andrews and Emory was that it's a lot of the time it's about who you know, as well as what you know. But yeah, networking is just such an amazing thing. Through the scholarship, that was part of how I got the internship at CNN. So yeah, there's so many opportunities that you can get just by meeting like-minded people, and I'm hoping that by creating this kind of community of students that want to have some fun as well whilst they're at university, but are also thinking about their career quite early on. I'm hoping that even the members themselves will all interact with each other, and you just don't know what's going to blossom when you kind of start interacting with people who are similar mindsets and similar ages and things like that.
absolutely. And I know Scottish Business Network and Scott Week, we have our own, spider webs of connections and people. So from all kinds of industries. So I know, speaking for Cindy McIntosh and myself, if there's anything that Scott Week and Cindy and I personally can do to support you, just let us know. If it's just providing, opportunities for mentors, internships, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, you've both had a long, successful, varied career, so I'd love to have both of you on as a speaker for a lot of the members. I'm sure they would love to hear what you guys have to say.
Oh goodness. Very fun. Very fun. Um, and then lastly, you introduced us to the two guys from Adamson Lynx. I don't know why I always have that word. Adamson Lynx. So tell us about how you got hooked up with those guys and what's going on there.
Yeah, Graham and Andy, they're fantastic. I believe they did an episode with you guys as well, which was really great. Everyone should check that out. But yeah, so whilst I was at university, I worked at a bar to help pay my way. Graham, who runs Adamson Lynx, along with Andy, he was one of the managers and the part owner of the Adamson, which is a cocktail bar in St Andrews. So I knew him for a long time. I worked with him for 4 years, and we became good pals. And yeah, he just sort of gradually, I think it was stemmed from when I was going out to the States. And again, a big part of the scholarship is going to the Masters and going to all these golf clubs and meeting a lot of people who are big into the sport and things like that. So I think we both saw an opportunity there to work together a little bit. So I helped sort of look for people that might be interested in coming to Scotland and experiencing a trip. Essentially, Adamson Lynx arranges golf trips for Americans or anyone from all over the world. But I think Americans generally are the people that are coming over to play golf in Scotland, and we're better. So yeah, Graham and Andy, they arrange these fantastic trips for people who are really into their golf to come to Scotland, play golf on some of the best courses in the world, and also experience a lot of what Scotland has to offer. There's a lot of trips to distilleries, great hotels, trips all over Scotland outside of the golf. So I think for anyone looking to see Scotland, whether it's for just the golf or if they want to see a lot of different things in Scotland, then yeah, Adamson Lynx is a great company to go to, and I'm sure Graham can oblige and help and arrange some trips. I know that you're thinking about a trip to Scotland soon, so you should definitely hit him up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cindy and I are hoping to get over to Scotland in September, October. And we were talking about before, I really want to go to the Findhorn Institute and just spend some time writing out there and connecting with plants and the energy. So that'd be really fun. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Do you have a favorite place in Scotland? Like once lockdown lifts, is there a special place in Scotland that you just adore?
A special place in Scotland. Well, I definitely have a soft spot for St Andrews. Obviously, spent my 4 years of uni there, so I've got a lot of memories there. But I'm hoping to move to Edinburgh in a couple months, and I love the city. It's beautiful. You can walk the whole thing. I think that was one thing I didn't like as much about Atlanta was you definitely need a car to get around there. But Edinburgh, you could walk the whole city. It's gorgeous wherever you look. There's so many different things to do, especially obviously not at the moment with COVID, but in August there's what's called the Fringe Festival, and it's incredible. There's a lot of music, art, comedians, things like that. If you're ever gonna go, that's the time to go. But yeah, Edinburgh's an amazing city. That'd probably be my favorite place.
Awesome. Edinburgh is probably my favorite city in the world. It's amazing. I've
Oh,
been,
really?
yeah, I've been to the Fringe Festival a couple of times and Hogmanay on New Year's and did the whole biking march and
Oh, wow, fantastic. You've probably done more than touristy things than I have.
oh no. I think it's one of those things where I lived in New York for years and I never went to the Statue of Liberty or Ellis Islands, and it's just one of those things that you take for granted. And then when you leave, you're like, oh, I should have done that. But
Well, there's still time, still
there's
time.
still time. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Iain, how can people find you and contact you and how can people support you?
Yeah, well, Regulus is launching on the 1st of August, 2021. Obviously, it was going to be a little bit earlier than that, but with COVID, a lot of the things that we're doing are in-person events. So we want to be respectful, we want to be safe. So better to wait. It may get pushed back depending on what the situation is in the UK, but that's the official launch date at the moment. We're looking to do our first launch event. First big event we're doing is on the 8th of October. It's going to be in St Andrews. It's going to be about 1,000 people. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. don't want to give too much away. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise, but yeah, very excited for that. Got a lot of good friends I'm working with on the project, so keep a lookout is all I'll say. Keep a lookout is all I'll say.
Okay, very cool. And if it's okay with you, and below in the text, is it okay if I put an email address of how people can get in touch with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to hear from people. I'm looking to put together a small committee of St Andrews students. So, and a lot of what they're going to be doing is helping support me with putting on events and things like that. It's going to be a great opportunity for people to learn a lot, get exposed to a lot of different sort of people and things like that. So, if anyone's interested in that, there's going to be official applications put out soon. But if anyone wants to get a head start on the competition, feel free to shoot me an email and tell me a little bit about yourself. That would be great.
Fantastic. Well, Ian, thank you so much. You're such a gem, and you're one of those people that you just push through it. Like a lot of people, they lose track, they stop communicating, but you've always been in touch with us through emails and hey, I want to connect you with these people, and you've just been so helpful. So thank you so much, Ian. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I think right now, more than ever, with COVID sort of keeping a lot of people locked down to their homes, there's never been a more important time to look after your friends and network with as many people as you can and really get yourself set up for the best year you can have once things calm down a little bit.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, Ian, well, take care in Scotland. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.